Course 1 Math Lesson 4 continues the question of unknowns and puts that into the operations multiplication division. So instead of addends and sums, we've got factors and products. Removing a factor to find that unknown, which we'll use maybe a letter in place of. And then instead of subtrahend, minuend, difference, we've got dividend, divisor, quotient. What if we're missing a dividend? What about a divisor? How are those different? And maybe we know the quotient. How do we solve for an unknown? Again, you'll show that with a letter usually. And I liked how, if I'm solving 20 times what is 80, the unknown x, solve for the value of x. I liked how the last lesson said, well, if it's easier, use small numbers and figure how would I have solved, let's say, 4 times 3 is 12. What if I didn't know that second factor? How would I solve that? Rule of fact family says you can rearrange these numbers with the operation of division. Take your biggest number, which is going to be the product, 12, divided by the known factor, 4, gives you 3. How do I check if 3 works? You can put it back in, and it should come 4 times 3 is 12, and it is. So now apply that over here. How did we solve? We said 80, the product, divided by the known factor, which was 20. And don't worry about those zeros right now. Okay? Does 2 go into 8? Yes. How many times? 4. Okay? Now, 20 into 8, 80, is also going to be 4. It's not 4D, because double check your answer. 40 times 20, that's going to be 400. It's too big. But 4, if I put that in here, and I check 20 times 4 in my calculator, it should come to 80. So that's how you solve a missing factor. You divide the known factor into the biggest number, the product here. Here's another. Find the value of A. Just because it's the first factor doesn't make this any difference. 72 divided by 6 is 8. Nope, sorry about that, 12. You might need a calculator on that, or to do this right here, 6 goes into 7 once. Sorry. And then drop the 2 to get 12, 6 into 12 twice. So 12 times 6, and then how do we check? 12 times 6 in the calculator comes to 72. We know we did it right. Remember, we can show multiplication simply by putting a number next to a letter, missing the second factor. So we divide 42 by 6. That's when I can do it in my head. 9 times 6 is 42. Math facts. Now, here's 2 different division unknowns. And how are they different besides the fact that one is shown with a fraction bar and one is shown with the division sign? What do we call the bigger number, the top number, the number that goes inside here? In a division problem, that's the dividend. And if we're missing the dividend and we know divisor and quotient, how do we solve for that missing number up here? It's going to be the biggest number. Dividend is typically your biggest number in a division problem. So actually, to make it bigger, like when we did subtraction, we actually used addition to solve for the missing minuend. We're going to use multiplication to solve for a missing dividend in a division unknown problem. 15 times 6 is 90. How do I check? Plug it into where it belongs in the problem. 90 divided by 6 in my calculator gives me 15. But in division, it doesn't work the same if you're missing the second of the three numbers in a division problem, which we call the divisor, the number that does the dividing. So if we don't know that one, this number can't get too big. It cannot get bigger than the dividend, the number we're going into, right? I have 126 groups of toys, or I have 126 toys, and I want to divide it into however many groups, however many in a group. How many would go in each group if I end up with 7 groups, right? I can't let my number in each group be bigger than the full total number. So we cannot multiply these. Instead, we're going to use division. We're going to divide that first biggest number by the only other number we know. Drop your 6. 18. Double check by plugging it in. And in your calculator, 126 divided by 18 is 7. So one more time to review with division missing number problems, because it's not commutative, it is a little more complicated. If you're missing the biggest first dividend number, you multiply quotient and divisor. When you're missing the smaller, but maybe not the smallest, divisor, middle number, you divide that big number by the known smaller number, okay? Give that a try, rewatch any parts of my video if it's helpful. But to prove you understand, would you find lesson practice? Pick a multiply missing number problem, A or B. Do C and D. And an H. So A or B, C, D, H. That's 4 problems. Okay? You don't need to do the formulate. Thank you.